The story of the magical drums. Once upon a time, there was a king by the name of Dharamraj. Dharamraj was a very wise and just king. King Dharamraj was a very handsome man. He was tall, well built, and had long, thick black hair. He got his hair trimmed by Bholu, his personal barber. Bholu had been doing this work for many years. The barber had to cut the hair of the king when they were alone, and no one was allowed to meet the king at the time. This was because Bholu shared a small secret that no one else knew about. The secret was that the king had two small grey horns on either side of his head. The king thought that if anyone came to know, they would laugh at him and would no longer respect him. He asked Bolu to promise never to disclose this secret and said, "If you don't keep your word, Bolu, you will be punished and banished from this kingdom." Many years passed and Bolu kept his promise. Bolu was eager to reveal the secret, but the warning kept him from saying anyone to anyone. One day Bolu was returning home. His house was on the other side of the forest. While he was crossing the forest, he felt tired and sat down under a shady tree. Bolu was thinking about the horns. Suddenly, he thought of telling the tree. He thought that the tree could not tell it to anybody, and thus the secret would be safe with the tree, and he would be free of the burden. Bolu shouted, "Oh tree, I want to tell you something. Our king Dharamraj has two horns on his head." Bolu had told the secret and he felt relieved. He went back home. The next day, a woodcutter came to the forest. He cut the tree and sold it to the drum maker, who made a drum with it. He planned to sell the drum in the market the next day. The next morning, the drum maker began beating the drum and shouted, "Buy this drum. It is a very fine drum." A small crowd gathered around to see the drum. Suddenly, a strange sound arose from it. People were shocked to listen to the strange sound. "Today I will tell you a small secret. Our king Dharamraj has two horns on his head," said the sound. Everyone was stunned and surprised. The drum maker again started to beat the drum, and again the strange sound arose from it. Soon many people started to gather, and when they heard the sound, they started to laugh. In no time, the news reached the ears of the king. He asked his guards to call the drum maker at once. The soldier brought the drum maker to the place. The king said, "How dare you do something like this?" The drum maker replied, "I just brought some wood from a woodcutter and made this drum. I don't know who is saying such things." Then the king called the woodcutter, who said, "My king, I don't know about it. I only chopped the tree." Now the king thought deeply besides him. The only other person who knew was the barber. He immediately sent for Bolu. The barber came to the court and said, My king, I kept the secret for long, but when I could not keep it any longer, I told it to the tree. Now the king understood that the tree was magical and it could speak and listen. The king was just and fair. He decided to pardon the three men as they could not be blamed for the drum being magical. The king turned to them and said, I forgive you, you may leave. The three men could not believe their ears and they shouted out loud, O king, you are indeed great. Thank you for your kindness.